I now call to order this meeting of the Gary Sanitary District, this regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners for Monday, November 4th, 2019. Prior to starting the meeting, I would ask that if anyone has a cell phone or pager, it be turned to silent or vibrate or turned off as not to disrupt the meeting. And if you do receive a call or page, we ask that you take it out in the lobby, again, as to not disrupt the meeting. First on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you stand with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next on our agenda is roll call. Ms. Lee.
Commissioner Trammell Raggs.
Present.
Commissioner Maurice Mabon.
Present.
Commissioner Olaf Morris.
Present.
Commissioner Charles Jackson.
Present.
Attorney Jewel Harris, Jr.
Present.
Executive Director Daniel Vicari.
Present.
Director of Administration Vern White.
Present.
And we also have Mayor Freeman Wilson.
Good morning.
Morning.
And that's the end of roll call.
Thank you. With 4 board members, we do have a quorum to do business. Next on the agenda is certification. I, Trammell Raggs, certify that prior to this public meeting, an executive session was held. There was nothing that was discussed during that executive session except the items indicated on the executive session notice posted in compliance with Indiana Code 5-14-1.5. Also, there were no final decisions made during that executive session in compliance with that same statute. If there is any board member that dissents this certification, they may do so now. Hearing none, we'll move along to the minutes. What is the pleasure of the board regarding the minutes?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the executive session and regular meeting minutes of October the 21st, 2019.
Second that, Mr. Chair.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Ms. Lee.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Morris.
Yes.
Commissioner Mabon.
Yes.
Commissioner Raggs.
Yes.
The vote is 4 ayes, 0 noes.
With 4 ayes and 0 noes, the minutes have been approved. Moving along our agenda, next we come to new business, and for new business, I will turn it over to the Executive Director, Mr. Daniel Vicari.
Thank you, Chairman. For item 2A, I'd like to ask for Vern White to present to you payroll.
Thank you, Director. Item 2A, a motion to approve GSD's payroll earnings for period ending September 30th, 2019 through October 13, 2019 in the amount of $245,795.17. I recommend approval as stated in the motion.
You've heard the overview and recommendation with regard to 2A. What is the pleasure of the board?
So move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Mr. Chair.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Ms. Lee.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Morris.
Yes.
Commissioner Mabon.
Yes.
Commissioner Raggs.
Yes.
The vote is 4 ayes, 0 noes.
With 4 ayes and 0 noes, 2A has been approved.
That completes today's GSD new business items.
Thank you. Moving along our agenda, next we have claims. And for claims, I'll turn it over to the Director of Administration, Ms. Vern White.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 3A, GSD claims numbers 4,226 through 4,405 in the amount of $659,356.04. I recommend approval and ratification of today's Gary Sanitary District claims.
You've heard the overview and recommendation with regard to 3A for approval and ratification. What is the pleasure of the board?
So move for approval and ratification, Mr. Chair.
Second, Mr. Chair.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Ms. Lee.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Morris.
Yes.
Commissioner Mabon.
Yes.
Commissioner Raggs.
Yes.
The vote is 4 ayes, 0 noes.
With 4 ayes and 0 noes, the claims have been approved and ratified.
That completes today's claims items for the Gary Sanitary District.
Thank you. Moving along our agenda, next we come to information updates. And first, we will have our information update in reference to construction activities from Mr. Eric Tonk.
Good morning, Board. I'm here to provide a brief update on current construction projects. The first being the 29th and Jerry Street Stormwater Project. That project, all the items have been completed, including the punch list items. We're just waiting for the final documents release retainage and the certificate of final completions before we close out this project. The Clark Road Improvements Project, the remaining item is that concrete work, and that work cannot be completed until NIPSCO lowers one of their valves. So we're still waiting for that one item. And for the Ambridge Neighborhood Sewer Lining Project, currently they are chemically grouting certain areas of the sewer line area. Once that's completed, IPR will be coming out and slip lining the sewers, and this work should be completed by the end of the year. The wastewater treatment plant paving project is complete. The punch list items have also been completed, so we're looking for the final documents, the final closeout documents for this project. The new project of Forest and Locust Avenue Stormwater projects, that project is currently underway. They have removed all the trees and stumps. That work had to be completed in order to get a proper grade of the roadway, to have the stormwater slope off the road and to prevent further potholing. Also, the 20th Avenue Stormwater Project, that has been surveyed and the lines, construction lines have been placed. They will be removing the asphalt and installing new storm inlets, and that work should be commencing shortly. Also, I guess I skipped one, the Lake Street project. Were able to get the intermediate courses of asphalt down, all the way down Lake Street from 3rd Avenue to Old Miller Avenue. Currently, they're preparing concrete sidewalks between 3rd and 5th Avenues and prepping the surface between 5th Avenue and Old Miller Avenue for the concrete sidewalks. And that is all I have at this time.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Tong?
Miller Street, is it open all, you know?
There might be temporary openings, but they still need to keep some of the lanes closed while they do the concrete work for the sidewalks. But so it's not technically open yet. And they still have to do the surface course. They're still planning on doing that this year.
Any other questions for Mr. Tong? Thank you.
Thank you.
Just for informational purposes for the board, normally we have a report from our plant superintendent, Ms. Rhonda Anderson, but I do believe she is out today, and she will report at the next meeting. Moving along our agenda, next we have discussion. That is discussion amongst members of the board. Is there any topic a board member wishes to discuss at this time? Hearing none, we'll move along to request to speak. Ms. Lee, are there any requests to speak?
Yes, we have one, Tricia Webb.
Ms. Webb, come to the podium, please.
I apologize for my attire. I am going straight to work.
That's all right.
This is my uniform right now. You feel bad, everybody looks clean and nice. Yeah. This is what I'm wearing to work. So I was told I would be getting through 3 minutes to maybe discuss my concerns. I think for your sake, it's going to take a little longer. So I'm hoping if there's any possibility, I could maybe wait after the meeting is over so that I could be indulged a little bit further as to my concerns that I have. That way I don't cause everybody to fall asleep.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so I am a landlord in Gary, in the Gary, Indiana, city of Gary, Indiana, and I have been renting since 2014, and recently I was brought to tears because I noticed that every bill, every sanitary bill, and I'm not sure if the tenants are currently aware that the bill is left with the home, but it seemed they're taking a lot of advantages with that fact, and so we're left with bills that has skyrocketed up to $2,000. As one tenant, apparently, she may have done something fraudulent, and she had the bill placed in multiple persons' name. I did not know this until I went to find out how much the bill was when she moved out secretly. And it happened that she had multiple persons come into the home, put the bill in their name, and then they would call and say they're moving out, and then another person put the bill in their name, and then they call there and say they're moving out, and then it goes on until it had 4 persons. And the water company tried to bill me until I gave them evidence that the tenant who said she was moving out was actually still in the house until a certain time. And after I provided them with information, they took the bill off. Gary Sanitary District would not do that because they provided a service, even though the water company did shut the service off and they illegally reconnect the service. And this happened in the course of maybe 4 months. And so the bill right now is it was $3,156.89 because I am being billed for the prior owner before we got the property. And I am being billed for all 4 persons who is on the billing sheet. I only know of 1 tenant, and I was told I would have to come up with a payment plan or a lien would be placed against me or the property. And I was explaining that I have no idea who these people are. I only know of 1 person. So they took all of that bill and placed it on that tenant's name, but it wouldn't make a difference because I have to pay it because they're no longer there. And I asked the sanitary district, what should we do to actually help us to prevent this from happening? She said we need to, it's our responsibility to monitor. And I'm saying, if I monitor, can I ask the Gary Sanitary District to shut the service off if the bill is very high? She said no, because it's not in my name. I said, then how can I monitor or do anything to control the bill? Because she said if someone owes a bill for $300 and they have a shut-off notice and they come to the Gary District and pay like $15 or maybe $30 on the bill, the service remains, but the back amount that's left is there and it goes up and up every month. It doesn't change. And so I have no control over what happened.
Okay, so let me address kind of several things, and we'll speak after the meeting because it's going to kind of run into a longer answer. As I understand, your concerns are, A, that the landlord is stuck with the tenant's bill,
Yes.
B, that the landlord has no recourse
Right.
against the tenant or no recourse for their property for this bill that goes up, and third, that the sanitary district is treating you differently than the water company.
Yes.
Is that a pretty fair summation of
I got the
concerns?
answer about the water company and the sanitary district, that there is a different law that governs
Okay.
each company, and I understand that. But the one that governs the Gary Sanitary District is costing me a lot of money out of pocket, and I
Okay,
don't see.
so I'll answer them very quickly. And of course, if you want to have more dialogue after
Yes.
the meeting, we can do that. One, as you said, there's a different law that governs the water company versus the sanitary district, so our remedies are different. Whereas the water company may be able to say, oh, that wasn't yours, and we can go after that particular person. The sanitary district has different obligations and different methods. What can the landlord do to remedy when they get these high bills? Well, the way the system is designed is that it's the landlord who goes after the tenant because you guys have that contractual relationship. But the sanitary district, which provided the service, has the right to seek payment for that service from the actual building owner. What can you do in reference to if you know a tenant's running up a high bill and things of that nature? Well, we really can't answer that question for you because that'd be legal advice. And, as a government entity, we can't provide that for you. Those are the quick answers, just for some sort of transparency, that we will answer the question for you, but we can have more in-depth dialogue about those answers after the meeting if you like.
All right, that's
All right.
it.
Ms. Lee, are there any more requests to speak?
No, sir.
Okay. Next on the agenda is adjournment. What is the pleasure of the board regarding adjournment?
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
We are adjourned. I call to order this meeting of the Gary Stormwater Management District, this regular meeting of the Board of Directors for Monday, November 4th, 2019. First thing on our agenda is roll call. Ms. Lee.
Director Trammell Rags.
Present.
Director Maurice Mabon.
Present.
Director Ola Morris.
Present.
Director Charles Jackson.
Present.
Attorney Jewel Harris Jr.
Present.
Executive Director Daniel Vicari.
Present.
Director of Administration Vern White.
Present.
And we also have Mayor Freeman Wilson.
Good morning.
And that's the end of roll call.
Thank you. With 4 directors present, we do have a quorum to do business. Next on the agenda is certification. I, Trammell Rags, certify that prior to this public meeting, an executive session was held and that there was nothing that was discussed during that executive session except the items that were listed on the executive session notice posted in compliance with Indiana Code 5-14-1.5. There were also no final decisions made during that executive session, also in compliance with the same statute. If there is any director that dissents this certification, they may do so now. Hearing none, we'll move along to the minutes. What is the pleasure of the board regarding the minutes?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the executive session and regular meeting minutes of October 21st, 2019.
We'll second that, Mr. Chair.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Ms. Lee.
Director Jackson,
Yes.
Director Morris,
Yes.
Director Maybon,
Yes.
Director Rags.
Yes.
The vote is 4 ayes, 0 noes.
With 4 ayes and 0 noes, the minutes have been approved. Moving along the agenda, next we come to new business, and for new business, I will turn it over to the Executive Director, Mr. Daniel Vicari.
Thank you, Chairman, and sorry to pass the buck, but Vern, could you provide the overview of 2A and B?
Yes, Director, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Item 2A, a motion to approve GSWMD's payroll and earnings for period ending September 30th, 2019 through October 13, 2019, in the amount of $11,538.96. I recommend approval as stated in the motion.
You've heard the overview and recommendation with regard to 2A. What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved to approve, Mr. Chair. We'll second, Mr. Chair.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Ms. Lee.
Director Jackson,
Yes.
Director Morris,
Yes.
Director Maybon,
Yes.
Director Rags.
Yes.
The vote is 4 ayes, 0 noes.
With 4 ayes and 0 noes, 2A has been approved.
Item 2B, a motion to approve GSWMD Resolution Number SW19-02, approving and authorizing an interfund loan from GSD's Equipment Replacement Fund 435 to the GSWMD Fund 677. Due to an influx of unanticipated projects and expenses, additional funds are being requested to supplement the Gary Stormwater Management District Fund 677 in the amount of $500,000. I recommend approval as stated in the motion.
You've heard the overview and recommendation with regard to 2B. What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved to approve the application, Mr. Chairman. We'll second, Mr. Chair.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Ms. Lee.
Director Jackson,
Yes.
Director Morris,
Yes.
Director Maybon,
Yes.
Director Rags.
Yes.
The vote is 4 ayes, 0 noes.
With 4 ayes and 0 noes, 2B has been approved.
That completes today's Gary Stormwater Management District new business items.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, we have claims, and for claims, I will turn it over to the Director of Administration, Ms. Vernon White.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 3A, GSWMD claims numbers 472 through 484 in the amount of $72,725.36. I recommend approval and ratification of today's stormwater claims.
You have heard the overview and recommendation with regard to approval and ratification of the claims listed in 3A. What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved for approval and ratification, Mr. Chairman. We'll second, Mr. Chair.
It has been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Ms. Lee.
Director Jackson,
Yes.
Director Morris,
Yes.
Director Maybon,
Yes.
Director Rags.
Yes.
The vote is 4 ayes, 0 noes.
With 4 ayes and 0 noes, 3A has been approved.
That completes today's stormwater claim items.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is information updates, and our first information update will come from our MS4 coordinator, Ms. Brenda Scott Henry.
Good morning.
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 So I have a few updates for you. One being that our MS4 team meeting is scheduled for November 12th, not on a Tuesday because that's the holiday, but on the 12th, and that will be held at 1:30 p.m. I want to thank the residents and staff who participated in the Harvest Fest and Truck or Treat event on October 31st at the Hudson Campbell facility. We had a really good turnout of youth and parents for that event, And we had a table that displayed not only our MS4 information, but also a painting activity with leaves, so kids could just really indulge in the painting. It was a mess, but the kids thoroughly enjoyed that activity. And then we had our farmers market event at the Harvest Fest. So I want to thank our partners and residents for participating. On last week, we finalized the Gary Urban Farmer Certification Program. So now we work with Purdue to develop the curriculum, and now we're taking applications from the citizens, farmers, educators to participate in the certification program, which we've started the registration process. The deadline to submit your application is December 13th. You can contact Anthony Van Gorp at 219-755-3240. And this is the Gary's Urban Agriculture Certification. The time frame for the program is January 9th through April 7th. So for more information, you can also contact my office at 882-3000. I'm working with the Parks Department. We're finalizing the details for securing $50,000 to remove the emerald board trees. These are diseased trees that need to come down, and we've identified the locations of them, and we are, as I said, trying to secure the money so that we can get them removed. And we're also working with the Nature Conservancy, U.S. Forest Services in order to do this. So we anticipated getting this done before the end of the year. What else I want to tell you about? On Friday, if anyone is interested in taking a tour of Hatcher Park and the marsh area around the Little Calumet River, the Audubon is working on a project on the Little Calumet River to restore wetlands in that area. We proposed to them to to expand their boundaries to include Martin Luther King and Hatcher Park. They said that they would work with us in order to do a phase 2 of that program. So we're taking a tour of that space on Friday at 3:00 p.m. I know that's like an odd time to do it, but that's the only time my schedule would allow me to take the tour. So please let me know if anyone is interested in going on that tour. That's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to respond.
Thank you. Any questions for the MS4 coordinator? Thank you, Ms. Scott.
Okay.
All right. Our next information update will be from American Structure Point, and that's going to come from Mr. Chris Murphy.
Morning, directors. Good to be here. Chris Murphy with Structure Point. Just want to give you an update on progress on projects that we've been working on with the Stormwater Management District. Starting with Lake Street. Much paving accomplished this weekend. The goal is to complete the paving before the weather turns later on this month, in order to keep 2 traffic lanes and on-street parking available over the winter to the downtown business community. Also on Lake Street, the parking area at which the Mingling Restaurant used to sit, that work is progressing. The sub-base is in place, and paving is scheduled to take place this week to complete that off-street parking component of the project. Also want to note that on the Ambridge Man neighborhood sewer lining project, the actual lining of the sewer work will commence this week coming, and should take 3 or 4 weeks to have that accomplished. That's the last piece of work on that project to be completed for the Phase 1 activity. The Phase 2 portion of that project it was which will be construction next year. We'll have a kickoff meeting scheduled later on this month. It was bid through the Corps of Engineers in September of this year, and they will schedule a pre-construction meeting as it is a Corps of Engineers administered project with their 219 funding for later on this month, with work expected to start sometime after the first of the year. Other two projects I want to note, the Jerry Street project is complete, in the process of collecting the final paperwork so that we can approve the completion of that project for the contractor. Also, the Fourth and Bigger project, the last component has been installed, which was the traffic signal wiring in the pavement to actuate the traffic signal that's been installed out there. That work was accomplished and connected to the system. So the final paperwork on that project will come before the board here at some time, probably at next month's meeting. That covers everything I have on my report today. Any questions I can answer for the directors?
Any questions for Mr. Murphy? Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, directors.
Next, we will have an information update from Robinson Engineering, and that will come from Mr. Ron Smith. Ron Smith.
Good morning, Directors. Ron Smith with Robinson Engineering. Just a couple updates on the Stormwater Management District projects that Robinson Engineering is currently working on. Eric Tunk gave a update of some of the construction projects we're working on. The Clark Road project, just minor concrete work to finalize that out. We did confirm that the new lighting is working on Clark Road. On the Forest Avenue and Locust Street project, the trees and stumps have been removed. The grubbing has been completed, so we're ready to start with the additional work that we're going to do on there. Also on the 20th Place project, we are going to start that project. It's supposed to commence today. Grimmer Construction will be out there doing some of the underground work. The Warren Street feasibility study, the preliminary engineering design is nearing completion this week. We'll be scheduling a meeting with Executive Director Dan Bakari to go over the preliminary design, and then also to go over the technical memo that we put together for that project. So at this time, I'll entertain any questions that the directors may have.
Any questions for Mr. Smith?
No. Thank you very much.
Although it's not listed on our agenda for an information update, I would like to invite our Director of Compliance, Ms. Tammy Davis, up for a brief informational update that I think will be beneficial for the citizens of this community.
Thank you very much, Director. Just want to inform and advise the community of two very important and exciting events that we have coming up. On Wednesday, this Wednesday, we are happy to collaborate with the Indiana Plan in putting together a free union construction seminar. And we are asking all Gary residents, minority, female residents, to come and attend the construction seminar so they can learn like tricks of the trade, so to speak. They have an opportunity to interact with some business agents, with some apprenticeship coordinators that will be taking applications. In addition, we will have representation from the Gary Human Relations Commission, as well as from the Dillon Law Firm that will be talking about expungements and continuing the conversation of removing barriers of getting Gary residents, minorities, and females working on our construction projects. So we want to invite everyone to come out to this free union construction seminar that is taking place on this Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon at the Art House, which is located at 411 East 5th Avenue, and refreshments will be provided. Secondly, we are also collaborating with the Construction Advancement Foundation, the Northwest Indiana Workforce Board, and again, the Indiana Plan in supporting their third annual Construction and Skilled Trades Day that is taking place on Tuesday, November the 19th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Lake County Fairgrounds in the Industrial Building. The second year, it was widely publicized and heavily supported by high school students. And so all of our high schools, both charter and public, have been invited. And just want to make sure that the public knows, parents, bring your kids, make sure you sign the permission forms for the high school students to attend this Construction and Skills Day. It is a hands-on demonstration. So nearly all of the construction trades will have their actual materials so that high school students can know what it's like to be an operating engineer. They'll go through a simulator to see what it's like to be driving a dozer or an excavator. They can experience what it's like to be a sheet metal worker, pipe fitter, plumber, carpenter. So this is our way of helping to get our Gary residents, minorities, and females into the pipeline so ultimately they can end up on our projects. And as always, you can contact me if you have any questions about some of our outreach activities at 944-0595. Thank you, directors. Appreciate your time. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Davis? Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is discussion. That's discussion amongst any member of the board here. Is there any topic a board member wishes to discuss at this time? Hearing none, we'll move along to request to speak. Ms. Lee, are there any requests to speak?
No, sir.
All right, with no request to speak, next thing on our agenda is adjournment. What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
We are adjourned.